Hey everybody, it's Adrienne. So today we're going to be steaming a wedding dress. This is a super popular design that I've done for a few years now called Elora from Madi. She's gorgeous, effortless, beautiful little dress. And I thought I would show the steaming process for this since people were asking about that. I wanted to start off first. I have it mounted onto my dress form with some pins at the princess seams and at the back because it doesn't actually fit my mannequin. It's a little bit smaller than she is, so I have it just stabilized and in place so I can kind of throw and pull as I need to. I'm also wearing no makeup, no lotion, no nothing like that. I have long sleeves on to help protect my arms, and I have shoes that I can pop on and off and clean socks. So this is important. I wear socks here in my house, so that's why I denote clean socks, because basically I'm going to take my shoes on and off if I need to step close to the dress. I don't want to step on it with my shoes or a dirty sock. I want clean ones specifically. But I want a closed-toed covered shoe, so that way in case I drop the steamer on my foot, I'm not going to burn myself. The goal is safety. Now, I have steamed things in my jammies before. I just want to be the model of safety for everybody, so that way no one says, hey, you're being unsafe, because you know how it goes. We all be a little unsafe sometimes. To that effect, I also have these new steaming gloves that I'm going to maybe try out. I don't know if I want to clutter up my video with me learning how to use a new product. You can see I haven't even opened these yet. So maybe we'll get into those towards the end. I want to do a full review on those at some point. And maybe that's today, maybe that's another day, who knows. Now, I did forget my lint roller. So I'm going to make myself some Scotch tape grabbers, which is a fancy word for a loop of Scotch tape. So that way I can pick up any giant pieces of lint as I'm going through, or thread or whatever. This is similar to how I would do on an actual wedding day, but with a lint roller sheet. So I usually take a sheet and stick it to my pants. This is just so I can grab it easily. It's also a nice fashion statement. And this is just regular Scotch band. There's nothing fancy about this at all. And yeah, a dryer sheet is also helpful for cutting static. This dress doesn't have too much of a static problem, so I don't have one here right now, but you can also work that through the layers as you're going. I have my steamer on preheat, so it should be ready to go in just a second. I'm going to turn it to full steam though right now. Okay. So we're going to let that get going. Now this dress, the alterations are complete on this. I have a bustle installed and everything. I'm going to be going through all the layers one at a time. The only thing I don't have here besides my sheets, sticky sheets, is clips. So if you're working on just a hanger, clips are super helpful for holding the layers back when you're working on it. But on a mannequin, you can kind of flip them over the top and they hold in place, which is really nice. Now, I steam the front of the dress first through all the layers, and then I'll turn it around and go to the back side and flip. Now, on this bustle, I have separated the lining and the sheer layers. And I want to be careful when I flip through the sheer layers though, because they are all joined and I don't want to rip through anything. So I kind of break it apart in some sections so I remember exactly what I'm doing and I don't damage anything that I've already done, because I don't want to create more work for myself. Now the camera gets harder and harder to hear me as I move away from it. So I'm going to probably do talking, steaming, come back, sit down and do more talking if I want to do more talking, just so that way you can hear me. I don't have a microphone yet. I'm not fancy. This is just a casual, real life situation of me steaming things. So we will get going. That's going to probably turn into some good steam in just a second. So I'm going to get these layers flipped. Now this mannequin happens to be the right height of this bride, so that's kind of fun. Okay. And I have already vacuumed this floor. This floor is vacuumed, tidy, no pins, no nothing. So anything that falls off of this is just from this dress. And to that effect, that's why I also have my hair tied back. I don't want to get more of my hair onto any project. Okay. Yes, okay, steam is on. That's why it's so important to use your preheat if you have one, because then it takes like 1 second. Okay. steamer down. So I'm gonna work from the inside. This dress has no crinoline. It's got a double satin bagged skirt construction. So I'm gonna go from underneath at the same speed that you would use when straightening your hair. And I have no diffuser on because this fabric is kind of a pain in the sense that you definitely need to have full steam on it. This satin is washable, so it doesn't water spot based on my experience. And yes, my mannequin is squeaky. I have oiled her in all the places that I can think to, and she still squeaks. So we just love her anyway. And as I get to the bottom, that's when you can burn yourself the most, is when you're coming off of the steam. So I don't focus too hard on the bottom just yet. I'm focusing on the center. And then I will go back around towards the bottom and hit that a little harder. Now when I'm doing a hem on a dress, I do press it out with an iron as I'm going, or like after I'm done, so it looks good. But I still go over it again if I'm gonna do a steam on it. Now I am holding my steam head lower than I would like it to be, but that's also why the coil, you can see my spring, that's why the spring is important. It's helping keep the level manageable so that I don't start spluttering water everywhere. Okay, so now I can focus on just the hem, and I'm gonna pull back like this to create a tension. Now, as far as different levels of steaming, you can do, this is not a final steam. So she's taking this home today, it's gonna go back in her car, in the bag, to her house, and she's taking it to the venue, etc. So this is not what I would call a final steam for me, just because I think the final steam should be done at the venue so that it doesn't get bagged up anymore and it stays crisp. Okay, so that's that front piece. Let's pull the next layer down. I see some lint in between, so I'm going to try to grab that. Next layer. Oh, it fell down. Okay, good. That's perfect. Now these layers I do from the top because I want to bounce the steam back from the dress out to it, because tulle is very hard to steam in the sense that it's so sheer that the steam just goes right through it, not necessarily making an impact. So you want something to like reflect the steam off of. Now my temperature in here is about 72-ish, not too hot, not too cold. I kind of want to preserve the steam in here a little bit, but I also want it to cool off quick enough that everything sets into place. Now obviously if you have a cold shop in the winter, there's not much you can do about it. Just know that in the winter, steaming a dress might take you a little bit longer because the cold is going to be fighting you a little bit. And I do try to work quickly because I'm trying to be mindful of how much steam and stuff like that I'm using, because I want to utilize all of that. And this dress is supposed to hang kind of like, you know, it's a boho-y cut, which is really pretty. Okay. And then I'm always super gentle when I pull my layers back over because I don't want anything snagging. The top of my mannequin head is really smooth, but you know how that goes. The last thing you want to do is tear something that you just finished. And then the other thing is I am steaming this right before she comes because that's what my schedule needed to be this week. However, I do not recommend steaming your bride's dresses close to their, or even on the same day. Just don't do it. Don't stress yourself out in case something does happen. You need time to figure through it. I have steamed this dress a million times, so I'm very comfortable with it. I know that she dries really quick, so I'm not worried about it at all. And also it's a pretty dry day here in general, so that's going to be helpful. Now at the waist here, I'm going to pull down the material and kind of direct the fabric down. This has 3 flowers on it that like to stick up. And sometimes they make the pleats kind of weird. So when you're working on it, just go nice and slow. And everything is also sewn on with clear threads. So whenever you're working on this one, you want to just grab a little clipper maybe to keep with you to trim off anything that looks crazy. And I did let the side seams out on this one, but I have already pressed it with an iron. I'm just going to go through a little bit more while I'm here on the top, and then I'm going to get to the back now. So I'm going to roll this to the back. Now, like I said, this doesn't fit this mannequin, so I'm going to have a waist crinkle here. So I'm going to not worry about that for just a second. Now, I do want to make sure my wheels aren't on everything, so I'm going to lift and pivot. Okay, so like I said, I had separated the bustle, so I'm going to unsnap my snap that holds the layers this way. Put this above. And you can see there's a tiny bit of static back here, but really not bad at all. Some dresses are just loaded with static. So same thing, I'm going to go up. Just like this, nice and slow and even. And you can see some steam does come out, but this dress is very, I don't say it's thick because it's a pretty lightweight dress as far as all things go, but you definitely don't need a diffuser on this. Someone asked me once before, because I noticed, I was just doing it right now, I blow out when I steam. I'm not trying to cool the fabric off with my mouth. I am trying to blow the steam away from my face. And I didn't realize I was doing it for like the longest time, and someone asked me if that was like part of my technique, and I was like, part of my technique for not burning my face? I don't know if it helps, it might just be a natural response. So you just want to be really mindful of where your arms are in relation to everything. You definitely don't want to burn yourself by crossing your arms over too much. If you're uncomfortable, you're probably not holding it in a safe manner. I did cross my arms over once just now, and it didn't feel great. I didn't burn myself though, but crossing your arms generally means you need to change positions. We're getting there. This dress is nice because it doesn't have a super long train. It just has like a nice medium-sized train. So if you're a bride, that's not too showy, but you want a little something. It's got that little something for you. Okay. Now my carpet's clean. I'm going to face down this. Now this is when you get water spots, when you face down, because the head is at a different height than the boiler. But like I said, I know this dress doesn't water spot, so I can do that. Okay, now this section, I'm gonna, instead of doing one at a time on these, I have them sewn through for the bustles, so I don't wanna rip anything out. So I'm gonna flip all these layers back down now. I'm gonna shake, because I did see some lint. There's, oh, it's a piece of, oh, it's a piece of tissue paper from a project I was working on. Okay. And there's a lint there. I thought I saw a piece of navy blue thread someplace. There's a little piece of thread there. Okay. And then definitely Get rid of those. Now this was something, if I was doing this on site, I do like a full 20 minutes of just lint rolling and clipping things. Okay, so now to do the skirt, I'm gonna start with the top and work my way down. And same thing, I'm gonna lightly pull on this. Now this is not the right shape. I'm gonna unzip this a little bit so it can just hang naturally. And then as you're steaming towards the dress, steam builds up inside and keeps it warm. So you can kind of use that to your advantage also. If you don't have a lot of time, you can steam the whole dress through the top, but it won't give you as nice of a finish. And I feel like, you know, you got to read the situation. If somebody wants a full steam, don't go just through the top layers. Go through all the layers. Do a really nice job. Think of a person that you love and pretend it's for them, if that helps. Because sometimes dresses are huge. We have a dress or two at the shop that are huge, and no one really likes steaming them because they take like an hour to get through the skirt layers. I don't mind them, but unless you can think about someone you love and care about, steaming 1 hour's worth of tulle with horsehair is a chore. And yeah, you get paid for it, but it's still. Okay, so now that I've got the top focused on, I'm going to hold up the back center seam and I'm going to go through it like this. Now, this only works if you're holding up this many layers of tulle. If it's a single layer of tulle, it's very hard because there's nothing for the steam to bounce off of to give you enough heat. It's just going to blow right through it and not really give you any sort of results. Now, you can use a pant hanger and clip this and hang it, so that way you can use both hands if you need that. If it's a very full train, I definitely recommend that. Very long, very full, definitely recommend. Okay. This looks pretty. Now, I would call this a medium steam. So this is nothing I would charge a significant amount for as far as that goes, because, you know, time and materials and also finish level. So this dress can be finished out to a final finish and be worth, you know, anywhere from $300 to $500 with like a day of service. This one that I'm doing right now is just called, it's just a quickie. So you could do, you know, $90, you can do something like that for it just to cover your time and materials. But also, I'm not seeking out to get every crinkle gone. If a bride wants every crinkle gone, you'll probably need to use a dry iron and do it on site for sure. I definitely charge for the extra time. Okay, let's turn you. I'm gonna steam some other things when I'm done here, so I'm just gonna turn that back on to the preheat mode to keep it kind of waiting for me, but not blasting steam out the top because I don't wanna waste all my water. Okay, I'm gonna snap this back together, and I think I will leave this on the mannequin for her to see when she comes in. How nice will that be? Okay. All the lint. It's wild how much lint is produced, or like hairs or whatever, just from when you're working on it. And honestly, if I miss a piece or two, it reminds me to tell them during their bustle tutorial about that so they don't freak out, because I feel like that's an important part of the bustle tutorial is telling them to expect some debris on their skirt, so that they're not shocked by how much it does pick up, because that's a thing. Oh, so pretty. So now from here I can lint roll more, or I can fine tune more and see how it's all looking. I'm gonna back up so you guys can really see what this looks like. Okay, so now I have the dress faced out. I'm gonna actually leave it up here. It's not wet at all, but I'm gonna leave it out here until the bride gets here, just so that way I know it's 100% dry. The number one thing you don't wanna ever do is bag a wet gown, because you will get mildew. Not cute. And you can tell the bride to take it out of the bag or open the bag, but let's be honest, we all have a million things on our plates and on our minds, especially during like wedding time. So it's easy to forget a direction like that. So I just like to make sure it's 100% dry before I send it home with anybody, so I'm not worried and stressed about getting that dreaded call that their dress smells like mildew, because that's never fun to point out to anybody. So I'm going to cool off now so that when she comes, I don't look like a ball of sweat. That's the other reason you should definitely do your steaming on a different day than your pickup. This is just what I needed to do for myself for this week because it's middle of bridal season. And definitely don't forget to bring yourself an extra shirt so that you don't have pit stains for brides. And I totally forgot my shirt at home today, but that's okay. That's my real life for you right there. And as you can see, I also didn't even get into the gloves. Steaming the whole dress is, let's see, let me start back at the beginning here. I've been steaming dresses since I was 19, and I am very old now. So I've steamed a lot of dresses without gloves, and it's really great that gloves do exist. These actually say they're baking mitts though, so I'm not sure if they're specific. Well, that pretty much says they're not specific to what we're doing. I appreciate that they are a long glove though, like that's my whole arm. That's my whole elbow. So I love the idea of these. I do need to practice. I also am not good at using a thimble. I feel like there's just some things like that where we just never use them and they're hard to learn how to use after you know how to get in a flow. And I know how to get in a flow with this dress without gloves. So I'm just letting myself flow naturally. As you can see, I don't have any burns. I didn't injure myself in any sort of way working on this. So I feel like my method is safe. I do love the idea of these though. So I will practice with them at some point. It just wasn't today. This dress took me about 20 minutes, you know, including moving the camera around as I needed to. So that's pretty decent. That's also why I said I don't like to charge a full steam for a quick version. This is worth something though. It's not worth zero. So make sure you figure out how much you want to charge for this if brides are asking for this level of steam. And then you can ask them for different levels. This is a great way to segue the conversation into if they want day of services, if you offer that. Obviously don't talk about it if you don't offer it, but you can always guide them to have a family friend bring a steamer, and then they can steam their dress themselves the night before and have like a nice meditative moment, preparing their garment for their wedding, and they can think about all the nice things that are going to happen the next day. And that sounds like a really nice moment to have, just to be like present and to calm yourself before your wedding. When I tell brides that, they're usually like, yeah, that sounds really good. Like, get a little cup of coffee, keep it far away from your dress, but like take a moment and just like think about what you're preparing yourself to do. Like, have a nice moment, steam your dress, get in your jammies, go to sleep, you know, be refreshed, all that good stuff. So that might guide them to something they weren't planning on doing and might be really helpful and lovely for them as far as, you know, quieting after all the tasks of getting ready for a wedding. There's so much to do that there's no peaceful moment. So I feel like it's nice to paint that picture in their mind of a peaceful moment that they could potentially have, you know, the night before alone with their dress. So I hope this was helpful to you guys for any reason. If anything I said was helpful at all to you, let me know in the comments what that thing was. If you see any value in my videos, feel free to subscribe. I don't have a regular schedule for my videos. I just post things as I have things on my mind to talk about or a dress that I want to show a detail on, etc. So that's what I like doing. But I also like making stuff that people are interested in hearing. So if you have a specific area of the bridal sewing industry as far as like a business idea or business questions or, you know, boring questions about taxes. I love taxes, just kidding. Anything that you can think of, ask me, and if I don't know, I'll find someone that does. But chances are I have at least a clue in the direction. And I love sharing anything that I can to help our industry grow stronger and to help new seamstresses get comfortable in this industry with this job, because it's awesome. You know, we get to help people look beautiful for the, you know, most important day of their life. And there's a lot of things to think of and do that, you know, brides get flustered. So it's nice to be part of their crew and help them, you know, with all the details so they feel, you know, ready and prepared and stuff like that. So it's really fun just helping to support brides. Okay, well, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to go cool off and get ready for this bride to come. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day sewing or whatever you're up to, you know, all that good stuff. I will see you in my next video. Have a great day or night wherever you are.